Hello everyone, we are group 5. We would like to present about word formation process. Before that, let us introduce our lecturer, Dr. Ismail Petrus, who teach us in this course. And here are our group members, Habibah, Taura Fernando, Anissa Nurfadilah, and Trianova. So, we are going to explain you about coinage, borrowing, affixation, compounding, imitation, reduplication, morpheme internal changes, suppletion, backformation, blending, clipping, acronym, and eponym.
Okay, the first one is coinage. This is a process of inspiring the new word. Word may be created without employing any other word or a word part already in existence. For example, like Codex, Exxon, Gilo, Penicillin, Kleenex, Zipper, and the others. That is a brand name and a product name. And second is borrowing, the act of taking word from other language to use as a English word through trade, inventions, exploration, and colonization. The English came in contact with virtually every language in the world. This English has borrowed thousands of words. For example, like balcony from Italy, cousin from North American Indian, balloons from French, saga from Norse, gas from Dutch, and the others. Many words have passed through two or more languages before they entered English. For example, English borrowed assassin from French. That French had borrowed it from medieval Latins. And that medieval Latins had borrowed it from Arabic's word that means his adik. And the third is affixation. This is a process of combining bound affixes with pre-morpheme to form new word. For example, like un plus real become unreal. This plus agree become disagree. And happy plus ly become happily, and many others.
Compounding, or in Indonesia we say penggabungan, is the process which forms new words, not from bound affixes, but from two or more independent words. The words which are the part of the compounds can be free morphemes, words derived by affixation, or even words formed by compounding. In simply, the process of combining two words, free morphemes, to create a new word, commonly a noun, verb, or adjective. For example, life in Indonesia hidup plus style in Indonesia gaya becoming lifestyle or gaya hidup. There are some types of compounds. First, same word classes. So, when the two words are in the same word class, the compound will be in this word class. For example, text, noun plus book, noun become textbook, noun. Second, different word classes. So, when the two words fall into different word classes, the class of the second or final word will be the word class of the compounds. For example, blue adjective plus bird noun, becoming bluebird noun. So, usually, we'll follow the word class of the ending word. Next, form with prepositions. A compound formed with a preposition has the class of the non-prepositional part of the compound. We'll follow the word class that the preposition follows. For example, preposition up plus verb live become uplift verb. So it will follow the word classes. Next, the pronunciation of compounds differ from the way we pronounce the sequence of two words forming a noun phrase. In a compound, the first word is usually stressed. In a noun phrase, the second word is stressed. For example, in compounds, we say girlfriend, red coat. In noun phrase, we say girlfriend, red coats. Next, compounds may express different grammatical relations. For example, a boathouse is a house for boats. A cat house is not a house for cats. Next, the meaning of a compound is not always the sum of the meanings of its parts. For example, hunchback, flatfoot. Imitation is the formation of a word by imitating a sound that is associated with an animal, action, or object. Depict the expression or sound of an action. Or, imitating is a word which resembles the sound it is describing. So, when we want to describe something, we can describe something by imitating its sound by using the word. Or, this is a language that names things with the sound associated with them. For common example we use such as TikTok, wow, press, bang, buzz, boom, and ding dong. Next, reduplication. In simply, reduplication is a word formation process in which meaning is expressed by repeating all or part of a word. As for form, the term reduplication has been widely used to refer to the repeated portions of a word, while base is used to refer to the portions of the word that provides the source material for repetition. In Indonesia, uses total reduplication to form the plural of nouns. For example, when it's rumah, it's house. When it's rumah-rumah, it's become houses. In Tagalog, uses partial reduplication to indicate the future tense. For example, when it's bili, it's buy. When it's bibili, it's will buy. It can be used to create new words or to add emphasis or effect to existing words. There are some examples of reduplication in English. First is exact reduplication. The two halves of an exact reduplication are exactly the same. Next, partial reduplication. This type of reduplication takes advantages of modified morphemes, which no longer carry meaning but serve to express stylizations or emotional involvement of the speaker. Next, contrastive focus reduplication. In this case, reduplication is used to refer to the most prototypical instance of a word's meaning. Next, reduplicative compounds. They are combinations of two existing words that includes a play on the rhyme of words.
Okay, the next material is morpheme internal changes. It is the process of modifying a word internally without adding an affix to make a new word. And there are a few examples of this in English. The first example, English plurals. Although the usual pattern of plural formation is to add an inflectional morpheme, some English plurals that make an internal modification are foot becomes feet, goose becomes geese, and tooth becomes teeth. The second example, irregular verbs. The usual patterns of past and past participle formation is to add an affix, but here are some verbs that show an internal change. Ring. Past formation becomes rang, and past participles formations become rang. Ring, rang, rang. It's the same with sing, sang, sung, and also swim, swam, swam. And there are some verbs show both an internal change and the addition of an affix to one form. For example, bite, bit, bitten, break, broke, broken, drive, drove, driven. The third example of morpheme internal changes is word class. Example, noun becomes verb. Life becomes live as verb, but also can be an adjective or adverb as life. And then strive becomes strive, thief becomes thief. Now we are moving on to subletion. It's a type of irregularity in which there is a complete change in the shape of a word in its various inflected forms. Examples, number 1, the regular past tense is formed by the ending ed, but small number of individual verbs have suppletive past tense. Am becomes was, eat, ate, go, went. Example number 2, usually the regular comparative and superlative are formed by the ending and ust, but here are small number of individual adjectives or adverbs that have suppletive, comparative, and superlative forms. Bad, worst, worst, good or well, better, best, little, less, least. Then, it's about back formation. What's meant by back formation is the removal of an affix from an existing word to form a new word. For example, the word paddler as a noun becomes paddle as a verb by removing the adjective suffix er. And other examples, editor becomes edit, hawker, hawk, revision, revise, swindler, swindle, enthusiasm, enthuse, television, televise.
Blending words, also known as portmanteau words, are formed by combining parts of two or more words to create a new word with a combined meaning. These new words are often used to describe new concepts or ideas, and they can be playful and creative. Blending involves taking a portion of one word and merging it with a portion of another word to create a new word. The selected parts are usually the initial syllables or sounds of the original words, but they can sometimes be from the middle or end of the words. The resulting blended word typically has a meaning that combines or fuses the meanings of the original word. This fusion can be straightforward as in brunch, combining breakfast and lunch to mean a meal between breakfast and lunch. Or more creative and playful as in spork, combining spoon and fork to describe utensils that function as both. Blending often leads to the creation of neologisms, which are newly coined words or phrases. Neologisms are essential for language adaptability as they allow speakers to describe new concepts or development in society. The popularity and acceptance of blended words can vary. Some become widely adopted and integrated into everyday language, while others may remain more specialized or niche. Blending has been a common process for forming words in English and other languages. For example, motel, from motor and hotel, emerged as the concept of roadside accommodation for travelers with motor vehicles become prevalent. Similarly, smoke, from smoke and fog, was coined to describe a specific type of air pollution. Blending allows for creativity and wordplay, making it a fun aspect of language evolution. People often create blended words informally in conversation or humorously to capture a unique idea concisely. Here another example for blending words are infomercial, a fusion of information and commercial, used to describe a type of television program that provides information while also promoting products. And guesstimate combines guess and estimate to refer to an educated guess or approximation. And also email stands for electronic mail, blending electronic and mail to describe a digital form of communication. Next is clipping. Clipping is a word formation process that involves shortening a longer word by removing one or more syllables. This results in a shorter and often more informal version of the original words. Clipped words are created by taking a longer word and removing part of it, typically one or more syllables. The shortened forms retain the core meaning of the original word. Clipped words are commonly used in informal or colloquial language. They are often seen in everyday conversation, text messages, and casual writing, but may not be as common in formal writing or academic contexts. Clipping is a way to make language more concise and efficient. It can be a convenient way to revert longer words or concepts in a short and more accessible manner. There can be variation in how words are clipped. Some clipped words may have well-established form, such as exam for examination. Others may vary based on regional or individual preferences, like math for mathematics or gym for gymnasium. Clipping occurs in many languages, and English has numerous examples. For instance, at is clip form of advertisement, and phone is clip form of telephone. These clipped words are commonly used in everyday language. Clipping is a productive word formation process, meaning that speakers can create new clipped words as needed to describe new concept or adapt to changing language trend. For example, app is clipped from application, referring to software programs on digital devices, a concept that has become prevalent in recent years. Okay, then we have acronym. Acronyms are words formed by taking the initial letters of a phrase or a series of words and pronouncing them as a single word. Acronyms are commonly used in various fields, including technology, government, military, and everyday conversation. Acronyms are typically formed by taking the initial letters or sometimes syllables of a longer phrase or a series of words. These letters are then combined to create new word, which is pronounced as a single unit. For example, NASA stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Acronyms are usually pronounced as words rather than as individual letters. For instance, UNICEF is pronounced as UNICEF, not UNICEF. Acronyms are commonly used to simplify and expedite communication. They provide a convenient way to refer to lengthy organization names, technical terms, or complex concepts. For example, AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, a complex medical condition. Acronym can have variation in terms of capitalization. Some acronyms are written in all uppercase letters, for example, FBI for Federal Bureau of Investigation, while others use a mixture of uppercase and lowercase letters, for example, UNICEF for United Nations International Children Emergency Fund. Acronyms are prevalent in various fields and industries. For example, in the technology sectors, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. In government and politics, NATO stands for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. In the military, radar stands for radio detection and ranging. Then the last one, we have eponyms. Eponyms are words that are derived from the name of a real or fictional person. place, or thing. These words are often created to honor or commemorate the individual or entity associated with them. Eponyms can be found in various fields, including science, medicine, literature, and everyday language. Eponyms are formed when a specific person's name, usually a person of significance, becomes associated with a concept, invention, discovery, or characteristic. These words are often named after the individual who first introduced, popularized, or became closely linked to the concept or item. For example, the word sandwich is an eponym named after John Montague, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, who is said to have popularized the idea of putting meat between slices of bread. Eponyms can be found in various domains such as science, medicine, technology, and literature. For instance, Tesla is an eponym referring to the inventor Nikola Tesla, known for his contribution to electrical engineering. Eponyms can take various forms in language. They can be nouns, for example, sandwich, adjective, for example, Freudian, derived from Sigmund Freud, or even verbs, for example, to boycott, derived from Charles Boycott. The specific form depends on how the person's name and their association with the concept are integrated into language. Eponyms often carry historical significance and can provide insights into the cultural, historical context in which they originated. For example, gelatin is named after Dr. Joseph Ignaz Gelatins, who advocated for a more human method of execution during the French Revolution.
So, from today's presentation, we can conclude that some various ways in which new words are formed in languages, including English, are: coinage involves inventing new words, borrowing involves taking words from other languages, affixation involves combining bound affixes with free morphemes to form new words, compounding involves forming new words from two or more independent words. Imitation involves forming a word by imitating a sound associated with an animal, action, or object. Reduplication involves forming new words by doubling an entire free morpheme or part of it. Morpheme internal changes involve modifying a morpheme internally to make a new word or morphological distinction.
Suppletion involves a complete change in the shape of a word in its various inflected forms. Backformations involves the removal of an affix from an existing word to form a new word. Blending involves forming a new word by fusing two words together. Clipping involves forming a new word by shortening a longer word. Acronyms involves forming a word by taking the initial sounds or letters of the words of a phrase and uniting them into a combination which is itself pronounceable as separate word. An eponym is a word which derives from a proper name of an individual or place.